This work is based in the belief that, through video art and image manipulation, connections can be drawn between disparate works of art and events in history in order to describe new conclusions that past art and knowledge can bring us to, without the dangers of the conventional channels. My primary object of attention here is the 1843 painting by J.M.W. Turner, referred to as The Morning After the Deluge, seen here as an amorphous image held together not by concrete lines, but by archival residues. This means that distinctive dissimilarities between colors and shapes of different versions of the painting are not the result of errors in the archival process, or of the existence of multiple physical versions of the painting, but are the natural form of the overflows generated when we bring together distant images during research over time. When I was locating these different versions, I became possessed by the belief that the pixels that make up our computer monitors, the literal surfaces of our research processes, are in fact themselves complicit in the difference between images they display. I believed that if I were to find a way to tell these pixels that they lived in pictures, those pictures would then tell me something different, showing me their history as a research that generated new, fundamental difference. My investigation for this work is, primarily, rhetorical. I find it important to pose questions in the form of a declaratory unknown, a statement of certainty in uncertainty, based in the unthought of thought. So then, the color of a computer monitor, black or the complete absorption of available light, but also a comparative darkness, proportionate to the oversaturation of this work with colors. Goethe, in his theory of colors, wrote that in the act we call seeing, the retina is at one and the same time in different and even opposite states. We at once perceive all the intermediate gradations of chiaroscuro. I came to believe that the oneness/difference of the retina could not be accommodated solely by vision, and therefore manifested, globally, in sound, at points in history and in art at which certain colors reached a critical state. Observe this video taken in Colombia. The sound in the video, ostensibly from the sky, is reminiscent of the hum, an auditory and bodily phenomenon experienced by small portions in certain populations. After finding this video, I quickly realized that my original planned form of this work would no longer do. An installation setup intended to overdetermine colors in the iris of the eye could not compensate for the primarily vibratory discomposition that the hum evidences. However, a rendering of this compensatory effect is pertinent due to its simulation of violence to the eye, what Goethe calls the forcing of the organ to opposition. A violence of representative equality then led me to focus on less stable images, in which signification is caught in a state of simultaneous occupation and vacation. This was my attempt to reorient the experience of viewing these images from their transcendental implications to a more corporeal tangibility. Did you see the flash? The colors yellow, red, and blue, besides forming the primary color palette of Turner's painting, also were favored by Goethe in his theory of colors. In 1785, Venezuelan revolutionary Francisco de Miranda met with Goethe in Germany, where Goethe told him, "Your destiny is to create in your land a place where primary colors are not distorted." He went on to explain, "It is not that the world is made of yellows, blues, and reds. It is that, in this manner, as if in an infinite combination of these three colors, we human beings see it. A country starts out from a name and a flag, and then becomes them, just as a man fulfills his destiny." If we entertain Goethe's theory, we can allow ourselves to see those combinations of the primary colors equally present in this painting of the Venezuelan War of Independence as they are in this photograph of the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia. However, as mentioned previously, these two images can also be related by the archival residues that adhere them in a sequence. If we focus the eyes of our computer monitors to the extreme, we begin to see that the images, as we experience them, are equally composed by lines of the color black, those buffers between one pixel and the next. Goethe's proclamation of infinite combination is qualified by that absorbing field, the grid that maps images rather than composing them as themselves. A pixel field which utilizes line not to articulate textures but to level them, an erasure of an undistorted solid. Furthermore, even at these moments of realizations are we duped, as we've been given the false impression that our computer monitors have allowed us to see past and outside of their curfewed horizons. Even producing an image of these distorting grids is a participation in those grids' generation, as pixels on a monitor cannot be seen without the use of pixels. By this way, I've come to understand all processes of obfuscation and omission to be recursive. So how then do images respond? From 1966 to 1970, American artist Barnett Newman painted a series of works titled Who's Afraid of Red, Yellow, and Blue? These works actively confronted the fundamental instability that characterizes our expanding perspective on colors throughout time, and made visible a didactic apprehension towards new technologies. The fear is not to be placed on the colors themselves, but in their representation at a distance, hence the question as rhetorical declaration, and the painting's towering size. In 1986, the same year that the first commercial video camera was released, the third in Barnett Newman's series was attacked with a knife by a Dutchman. 4 years previous, the series' fourth was the subject of a similar attack by a young veterinary student, who claimed that the painting was a perversion of the German flag. In 1991, famed restorationist Daniel Goldreher completed his repair of Who's Afraid 3, but was subsequently sued, the plaintiffs claiming he had used a paint roller and not 2 million individual dots of red paint to cover the slashes. In this way was it revealed that the leveling of colors that organizes in a digital image manifests in the physical world, with Goldreher's roller superinscribing a flat surface over the subinscribed brush spots Newman had first painted. "1991 was, not coincidentally, the first time residents of Taos, New Mexico began to report ongoing low-frequency noises between 32 and 80 hertz. The hum is not an entirely new phenomenon, and it is speculated that reports of it date back into the 1700s. But it is only around the time that the Taos hum in 91 was connected with other incidences in Bristol from the 70s that a database of the sound was compiled. This database revealed to me not only the specificity and magnitude of the hum's occurrence, but also made tangible an abstract compensation of the colors Goldreher emitted. Not only do the red dots that mark accounts of the hum on the map number a sum approaching Newman's 2 million red dots, but each dot itself is, self-similarly, composed of red dots to the same degree, pixels, indicative of a global return of and to color, by way of a phenomenon of sound. At this point in the work, I felt confident enough in my research to make a polemical statement about Turner's painting, the hum, and the radical new political projects of art in an age of digital reproduction. However, when attempting to return to the morning after the deluge, I found that something had happened to my data. Now, not only were the lines between versions blurred, but the existence in time and space of a single image had lost its fixity and decayed into a movement image. Furthermore, the software which I used to create this work began exhibiting peculiar lapses in information, resulting in inconsistencies between rendered versions of images. I realized that what my work was experiencing had been foretold by Goethe when he proclaimed that images remain on the retina in morbid affections of the eye. Like its own organ, my video work experienced the residues of past versions, articulations, and possible manifestations simultaneously, after undergoing a stage at which its critical structure revealed its logic. This work has, therefore, resulted in the conclusion that, beyond simply depicting in a detachment, moving image works can realize themselves as an embodiment of their constitutive information. To paraphrase Deleuze, moving image works cannot give us a body, but can give genesis to a previously unknown body we keep in the backs of our heads. The process of research and retrieval, image manipulation, and the splicing of the historical and the occult into a knowledge of our current world made possible a new way with which to see. Not to seek to evacuate from the striated space of a computer monitor, but to embrace a being of distortedness and interoperability, work under conditions of critical colors must find meaning neither from the center nor from the margins, but in the new space constituted by radical changes that happen in the body of pictures, changes which have become, as never before, reversible.